Hey kids, welcome to Unit 1, Lesson 13, Decomposition and Design, Exercise number 6. We're going to go ahead and do B, the trophy, because you are all champions and you all deserve a trophy out there. Let's go ahead and jump into B and see what we have to do. Before we get started, there's a couple things we need to discuss in order to be successful at this lesson. The first is exercises 1 through 4 in this lesson are very important. You really need to go back through them and understand what is happening in order to understand the mural painter we're going to use and the trophy painter. More importantly, it is a great example of what decomposition is, and that is just breaking a giant problem down into smaller little bits. Another thing that is going to be vital to your success is going to be the worksheet. This worksheet is very important. First, the methods on the front. These are going to be the key to writing a successful program. These are the methods given to you. And let me just emphasize how important this is setting us up for the AP exam. We have 4 questions on the free response. In each of the questions, they're going to give you methods you have to use. On any of the FRQs, you're not inventing any information. You are using what AP is given to you. Much like that, so are you given information here. So this is just practice for the AP exam as well. Take a look at these methods, understand what they do. Paint background paints the background, the color and size of the grid. Paint line gives the color, where spaces is the length of the line. Turn to west moves to the next row facing west if the painter is currently facing east. Turn to east does the same when facing west. Turn around faces us in the opposite direction. Reset position, which is very important, resets the painter to the starting location and direction. And then move to corner moves the painter to the bottom right corner. Well, the other vitally important part of this is going to be this grid right here. You're going to be working off of this. These are going to be your coordinates when you go. Think of each of these as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There should be 13 total here. Keep that in mind because that's the spaces of our line. I broke the problem down as follows. I'm going to paint the top. I'm going to paint the base here. I'm going to paint the left handle. And then I'm going to paint the right handle. So I'm going to have a bunch of methods to do this. Let's go ahead and look at the code again. First thing I need to do is make sure my Painter Plus is imported. You're going to need this. If you don't, you can grab it from over here. Next, we need to start setting some stuff up. Let's start with the most basic thing of calling the mural painter that was already given to us and paint the background of our grid. Again, lessons 1 through 4 excellently explain how the mural painter works. If you have questions, I highly suggest you go back there and take a look. First thing we need to do is instantiate our object. The first one is going to be from the mural painter class. We'll call this roads background. That is going to be equal to a new mural painter. No arguments yet. And a little semicolon. Now under mural printer, we have a method, paint background. It takes the color and the size that we're going to do. Our grid is 13. We can pick any color we like. So we're going to call this a paint a background method. So we're going to say roads dot paint background. We are going to need 2 parameters. Remember, the first one is going to be a color. We'll start off by saying blue. I think I'm going to change that in the future. We have 13 spaces we need to go through, so we're going to paint a 13. When I hit run, as long as I'm spelled right, my painter should be instantiated over here and start painting. Oh, let's see if we're right. I got an error here. It says roads. Is that my object name, kids? No, it's roads background. Remember, has to be the same name as the object we created. We got roads background now. Let's clear that out. Hit run. This should work. There goes my painter. Let's just speed it up. And it looks like it's going to paint the background. I'm definitely going to change this color, but I know it's working, and that's the important part there. Let's go ahead and hit stop right now. All right, we got our background running now. The next thing we need to do is we need to work on our trophy painter. So let's head over there. And the first thing we need to do is we need to extend our class, because our superclass is going to be painter. Painter Plus is a subclass. Mural Painter is a subclass of Painter Plus. And then Trophy Painter is going to extends Mural Painter. Make sure it is spelled exactly. There we go. This is going to be my end of class. I'm just going to create a constructor here. This is just going to get us in a good habit. It's going to be public. We'll call this Trophy Painter. It has no arguments right now. We'll put our little curly cues, and we'll just say end of constructor. That's pretty good. Now that I can create an object, let's start working on it. First thing I want to do is I want to paint this little top part. You can see it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines long. So we have to paint a line 6 long. Remember, in our mural painter, we have our paint line method. Paint line takes the color we want and the number of spaces, and it'll paint as long as it can move. So let's go ahead and write our method signature. It's going to be public void. We're going to do paint top. And ultimately, like I said, we're going to have some parameters. We need our parentheses open there. This is going to be our end of paint top. We're going to need some parameters. So let's just call our first one is going to be string. And right now, we just have one. We might add another one in the future, but for right now, I think we just can use the one. So when I call paint top, I'm going to give it main color to give it the main color. And I think I can use a second one in the future for accent color to do the trophy handles and little accents like that. Let's go ahead and create our first line though. We are going to go paint line. We want to use our main color that we're going to pass through, and we want to go 6 long. I'm going to go ahead and go back to our neighborhood runner now. We're going to instantiate a new object. It is going to be from the trophy painter. We're going to call this roads trophy. This is going to be a new trophy painter. No arguments, and our semicolon. Now that we created an object, we can go ahead and call this a paint top method. So let's go back here. We're going to go to paint top. We are going to call roads trophy is going to call our paint top. Remember, it's going to take one argument, so we need some parentheses. What color do we want to call? Let's go for right now yellow. That'll be a good opposite color of blue until we change this all around. Let's go ahead and hit run and see if we get our painter to paint across here. Oh, we have an error. Classic roads looks like I forgot a semicolon. Let's go back to our tester method and hit run. Speed this up a little. I have noticed if you go all the way to rabbit speed on code.org, it'll lag out sometimes and stop in the middle. If you have that problem, just reset and run. I got my object to go. Problem though, it's not where I want it to be. I really want it to go over here, 1, 2, 3, and then maybe move down and over. So I need to adjust this starting position. Let's make a method called starting position. Let's go to Trophy Painter. And let's just create a new method. We'll call this a public void, and I'll just call this start position. We don't have any arguments for this, and our curly cues. This is going to be the end of start position. Inside here, what did I say? We wanted to move 3 over. So we're going to do move, move, and then move again. Then we need to turn right. I think one more move if I'm right, and maybe a turn left. If I'm wrong, I can always come back and adjust it, so it's no problem here. That looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and call our start position. We'll go roads. Ooh, got my caps locks on. We'll go roads, trophy, and our start position. There's no arguments, and our semicolon. Now our painter should move over here, down here, then paint the line. Let's see if we're right. Well, there you go. We got our top one. Now this is really just going down and finishing it off. Let's go back to our trophy painter. We're doing our paint top. Our next line, we need to use our turn to west method. Remember, if we're facing west, it's going to turn us to the south. So we're going to go turn to west and then move forward once. So at that point, I can go ahead and move down here. I should be facing in the proper space. So at this point now, we are going to paint another line. So I'm going to go paint, paint line. And this one is going to be our main color, and it's going to be 2 long. So that should get us our 2 over. And let's talk about what we're going to do next. Let's just make sure I'm not crazy and hit run and see if that's what's happening. Well, there we are. Now remember when I said earlier, maybe we can add another parameter to paint our top. And that way we can actually switch what our painter's painting mid-paint. So if I come over here and add another parameter, so we'll say string, and we'll call this second color. If I come down here now and say paint line, instead of main color, we can do second color, and maybe we'll do that 2 long. Now, in order to do this, you're probably thinking, Mr. Rhodes, we're only passing 1 argument. How are we going to pass that second argument? We are going to be a little slick with our code here. I'm going to come up here. I'm going to make a new method here. And this one, I'm going to call paint trophy. So it's going to be public void. We'll call it paint trophy. Maybe we should try spelling that right though, kids. We're going to give this the 2 arguments, string main color. And our second one is going to be a string second color. Don't forget our curly cues. This is going to be our end of paint trophy. Now that I got this, I can start calling these methods here. So let's do our start position method. So I'm going to go start position. And then let's call our paint top method. So we'll go paint top. And we need to pass along our 2 colors, our main color and our second color. Now when I call this method, it'll pass those 2 colors down here. Let's clean this up over in our neighborhood. We don't need this anymore. But just in case I'm wrong, we're going to comment that out there. Let's go down here and do Roads Trophy. And this time we're going to call that, Paint Trophy with our two methods. We're going to call Paint Trophy. We have to give it two colors. Let's do it just like the exercise. We'll do, the first one is yellow. Our second one will be red. Let's also clean up our blue here so it'll look a little better. I believe the background is white. It's either white or gray. Let's go ahead and hit run and see if this is working. Looks pretty good. Honestly, after this, it's really only two other methods I have to write. Most of this is just traveling my little painter around. Let's complete this base here. Let's go down to our paint top. After we paint the line 2, we need to do that one more time. So paint line. We're going to go ahead and do our main color and 2 more spaces. Well, that's going to take us over here. We used our turn to west method. Guess what's going to work for this one? You guessed it, our turn to east. We're pretty much going to rinse and repeat these 2 steps in between. So let's go turn to east, and then we'll do another move. At that point, you can see we're getting down to the lower part of our base. So we're going to go ahead and do the same thing again. We're going to go paint line. This is going to be main color again. 2. Give ourselves a little room here. We're going to do our paint line. This is going to be our second color. It's also going to be 2. And then we're going to do this again, a paint line, main color, and 2. We'll be back at the same spot. So we're going to do our turn to west and move again. Turn to west, and then move like that. Let's go ahead and just see how we're doing here before we get too crazy. Let's hit run. That looks pretty good. I think we just have to go across 6 and then make the skinny little part there. Are we going to do that? We're going to paint a line. This is going to be a main color and 6. Then we're going to turn to east. And then we're going to move once, I think twice maybe. And then we're going to paint that final little line there at the bottom to make it give that little skinny bottom. This is going to be a main color and 4. Clean up our code here. Let's go ahead and test this. We should end up with a row here and a row down there. Let's see if that's what we got. That's looking pretty good to me, kids. I think in the spirit of this, I'm going to create a new method, paint base. Break this down just a little more because remember, decomposition is about breaking this problem down. I know the top part works. Let's work on a bottom part. Let's write a new method name here. It's going to be a public void. It's going to be called paint a base. We're going to give it these same 2 parameters, a string main color and then string second color. Oh, we do not want a semicolon. We want curly cues. This is going to be our end of paint a base. In here, what do we need to do? Well, we're already at the line right here. Let's go ahead and add our paint base method to our main method here. So if we go up to our paint trophy, we can now do paint base. It's going to have the same 2 parameters. We're still calling that paint trophy method. So all I have to do is hit run. We should get right over to here. Oh, let's see if we're right. Look where we're at. All we got to do is just add some more color. Let's go find the method we were working at. It is our paint base. Now all we have to do is paint a line. This is going to be our second color because we want that little red strip. So second color, it is going to be too long, I believe. After that, we're going to be facing the east. So we're going to use our turn to east method and then move like before. That'll take us down to right below the red line. So we're going to do another paint line. This time we're going to use our main color. And we're going to go too long. We're going to rinse and repeat. Since we're facing the west now, we're going to use our turn to west method. And then move. That takes us, should be right around there. That means we're going to do another paint line. This should be our main color. And too long. After that, we're going to turn to east. Are you noticing a pattern, kids? We're going to move. Oh, we got an extra little digit there. Let's give ourselves a little room. After we did our turn to east, we're going to do another paint line. This is going to be our main color again. This should be 4 because we're down towards the base of this. We are going to, at this point, turn to west. And then I think just one more, that long base at the bottom. So paint a line. We're going to do our second color. And that should be a 6 long. Clean this up here just a little. This method now should finish off of this base part over here. Let's go ahead and run and test it off. Well, we got a little issue here. I know it's in my base. Let's go ahead and take a look here. I don't think I needed my move on my second 2 here. Let's comment it out just to test it off. Because I think what we're doing here is we're moving over 1 as it goes. And I don't think that's what we need to do. Let's hit run. Let's see if that's right. Almost there. I think we commented 1 too many out here. I think we need this one to still move down before we go. Third time's a charm, kids. Let's hit run. There we go. I ended up with just 1 extra move, not 2. Luckily, I knew how to debug to figure out what my issue was. Kids, we're almost done. All we have to do now is make the handles, and that's pretty easy. I want you to notice on the video, it shows it going back to our start position each time. I also want you to note in Mural Painter, we have a reset position method we can call. Also in our sheet right here, we have a method that will reset our position back to 1. I think this is going to be pretty important because I believe if we start off from 0, 0 and work from there each time, I think it's going to make this problem a lot easier. Let's try this out. Let's go over to our main method here that we've been adding to, our paint base. I think what we're going to have to do, notice we are over here. I think I want to go to our reset position, and that should get us over there. Let's call this method reset position. And let's see if this gets us to our 0, 0 spot. Let's hit run. Nothing happened when I called reset position. Let's go ahead and look at our document real quick and see those methods that we could work with. I want you to notice this turnaround. This is going to be important. If we use this in conjunction with a reset position, it's going to let us get our painter to the right position because it's right now not facing it, and right now it's not. So you can see in here our method, if we can face east, we're going to turn left, which is going to put us down. So we actually need to be facing the opposite direction. So if we go back to our trophy painter, we come over here and we add our turn around method, you're going to notice that our reset position will now work because how it's written. Let's hit run and see if I'm right. Now you can see it's working. I only understood that because I looked through the documentation. Remember how important that is. Now let's go ahead and write our left handle. Let's go ahead and create a spot for our method here. This will be a public void, and we'll call this paint a left handle. This is going to be our end of paint a left handle. This is also going to have to take one parameter. We need to pass along a color we want to paint. So it's going to be a string color as the parameter we want to pass along. Now the first thing we need to do is get our painter over to our start position over here. So that means we are going to move, turn right, move, and then turn left. That should get us to our position right there. And at that point, we should be facing the left-hand direction, and we just want to paint 2 over, 1 down, and then 1 over again. And I think we can do some pretty nice things along with this. Like we can use our turn to west method because we'll be facing the east, so we can get our position down. Let's go ahead and write that out. We're going to do a paint a line. We want our color, and we want it to be 2 long. That paints the 2. We really don't want to paint that spot again, so we really need to move 2 spots down in order to get to the next spot to paint the one over here. That means we're going to need to use our old friend turn to west, move twice, and then at that point we need to paint a line. This is going to be color. We're only going to paint one little square. Now we need to paint that one right on the edge. So we're going to do a turn to east method. Then we got to move twice again. That should put us right there. And at that point, we want to paint our line, paint a line. We want to do that as a color 1 long. Clean up our code here. Now we need to call our paint left hand method here. So let's copy this and take this up here. And now we're going to come down and we are going to do our paint left hand. And what are we going to put as our parameter? We want to use our second color. That's what we ultimately want to pass along. So let's put second color. And second color will be passed along here, which will be passed all the way down here as color. And then it should put our handle as that red. Let's see if we're right. That looks pretty good. All we have to do is rinse and repeat over here. We're going to do a paint right handle. This is a public paint right handle. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to pass a string color along. Doesn't matter the parameter. We're going to pass that same accent color. Not a semicolon. We need brackets. Remember, we're going to comment our stuff out here. End of paint right handle. Now that we got that, we have to do the same thing. We have to go to our starting position. And I think that's going to have us come up here, and we are going to do our reset position. That should put us back up here. We don't need to flip because we are facing the right direction here. At that point, we're in our start position, so we have to move over. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 moves, it looks like. Then we're going to turn left to get to our position. So we have move, move, another move, another move. That's 4. I think 6 is right. Let's get to 6 here and see if we're right. Let's do 1 turn left just to make sure we know we're facing the right direction. Now that we did that, we're going to have to call that method up here. So let's go to this big giant paint trophy. Let's call our paint handle. We're going to call our second color again. Let's just organize this a little. Let's hit run and see if we're right. Well, looks like we have an error. We have an invalid declaration. That usually means I forgot my old friend void. Very common mistake. I make it all the time. Let's clear and run and see if we're right. That definitely doesn't look right. We have to go 1, 2, 3 more spots, I think. Then make our turn. So let's add 3 more here. That's our 3. I think we're going to do a turn right method then. And that should put us in the right spot. Let's hit run just to double check on this. Testing is always important. There we are. But the looks of it, we are just not facing the right direction here. We can move and then turn left 1 more time. That should put us in the right spot. Let's do a move and a turn left. That should put us down to the right spot that we need to be at. Now, let's go ahead and do our paint line. And let's do a color that is too long. Let's see if this works and hit run. That's pretty good. I think we're going to have to do our turn to west. That should flip us around. We should move once at that point. And then I think we're going to paint the line 1 more time. So color 1. That should get us over here. I think I might need to add a little more here. I think our position, it would have been better to move over here originally, turn down, then move over to paint instead of how I came over here. I don't think that was the most efficient way to code, but it's okay. It's still working. That actually doesn't look too bad. I think if we do a turn to east, we move 1 down, and then we paint another line. Our final color of 1. I think that's going to finish off our trophy and be the final time we hit run. Let's see if this project's finally complete, kids. Oh, kids, I think we took the wrong turn here. This ended up being a right turn. We need a left turn. Let's comment this out just in case we're wrong. And let's do a turn left. Don't forget your semicolon. That should put us right there facing down. Let's run it for our final time. I think this is it, kids. That looks like it, kids. I do want to point out one thing to be technical correct. I think we have one more method we have to put in here. I think both painters are supposed to be at the corner. So we're supposed to use the move to corner method. I think when I hit test before I do this, I'm not going to pass everything. Let's hit test just to double check before I hit run again. It looked pretty good, but your teacher, specifically me, might require you to move to the corner just like the other one and use all of your methods to complete this. Because much like on the APCSA exam, you're going to have to use all the methods to get full points. For old time's sake, let's just hit run one more time, make sure our painter goes to the corner, and we're 100% complete on this project. And there we go, kids. We are finished. We used all the methods and completed our image just like the example. Great job. The overarching principle here is decomposition. If something's very large and scary, just break it down to its little components. Once you do that, it becomes a lot easier. Just because it takes time does not mean it's hard. Again, this is getting us ready for the AP exam, specifically the FRQs. You're going to be asked to answer 4 questions. They are going to give you all of the methods and information you need to complete them. You do not invent any information. This is one of our first long ones, kids. You did a great job. Hopefully, this video helped you understand decomposition and design a little better. As always, kids, if you have any questions, come see me. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video. See you later, kids. Bye. Bye. Bye.